Hello, welcome to the 2025 updated Feather Phase Out FPO fan tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make your own vegan-friendly burlesque faux feather fans by yourself, and I'm going to show you thoroughly, completely, every tip and pointer I have to make you high quality and beautiful faux feather fans that you can perform with. We're going to need a hot glue gun. The glue sticks that I use are the Gorilla Glue brand. This is E6000. I'm sure if you're a burlesque performer, you're familiar with this product. According to the internet, it is vegan friendly. Scissors, a knife, 150 grit sandpaper, 2 bamboo folding fans. I'm going to open this up so you can see what it looks like. This is what it looks like. This is bamboo. You can get these in plastic. I do not recommend it. Maybe zoom in so you can take a good look. You can tell it's bamboo because you can see the striations. I have seen on Amazon some plastic stave fans being sold and marketed as bamboo. So look at them, make sure it says bamboo, and make sure it looks like bamboo. There are 13 staves. This fabric is called ripstop. It is not silk. Some websites will say that it's silk, and it's not. I think they mean silk-like. So you need 2 of those. The next thing you're going to need is the faux feathers, the fun part. So this is what they look like when they come out of the packets, right? Just an individual bundle looks like this. If you get this style of faux pompous, this yields the most beautiful faux feather. There are 5 feathers in each bundle. This particular company sells 6 bundles per pack. So if this is what you're getting, you're going to need 7 packs at least, because each fan has 100 feathers and you're going to need 200 feathers total. So what I did was, knowing that there were 5 feathers in each bundle and 6 bundles per pack, 7 of these packs will yield 210 feathers. So I have 10 extra. Welcome to part 2. I'm going to show you now how to make a right-handed fan and a left-handed fan. When you buy these bamboo fabric fans, they're always a right-handed fan. You can tell it's a right-handed fan because when you hold it, the stave that's by your thumb is on top. And watch, when I flip it, same deal, right? My thumb is touching the stave on top, not the one on the bottom, right? Now, if I put this right-handed fan in my left hand, this is what happens. See how my thumb is touching the bottom stave and not the top? You can absolutely dance with your fans this way, but what ends up happening is this muscle gets fatigued in your left hand. And so it is a little more comfortable to make the staves go the other way. So you have a right-handed fan and a left-handed fan. I have my hot glue gun heated up. It doesn't need to be ready just yet, but it is getting heated up. I've got my E6000 nearby. I'm going to just put this one to the side because it's a right-handed fan. We're just going to leave it a right-handed fan. Right there. This is another right-handed fan. I'm going to turn this into a left-handed fan. So as you can see, staves are on top. I'm going to flip it over because what I'm going to do now is there is a double stick glue or tape that's holding this fabric on, and I'm just going to very gently take it off. See that? How it just comes right off like that. And do you see how I'm trying to not stretch out and aggravate this fabric because it can warp if you're too rough with it. I just do a little bit off the top on each one, like that. And then it gets a little challenging when you get to here, so I'm just going to flip it over. And you can see they put 2 on this one, see 2 little pieces of glue. Okay. And then I don't want to stretch it, so I'm going to go back over here. And you just gently work this fabric off. Let's get a little deeper. Flip it down. Now there's a little bit of residual glue on the fabric and on these fans. There we go, I took it off. So right here, there's a little bit of stickum. Sometimes there's a little bit of stickum here, and that's okay. We can take that off later. So this is the way the staves came. I'm just gonna flip it the other way. And I'm going to try to make the staves all equidistant. So I want to try to put the sticky side to the sticky side again. I find that that is a little nicer. And intuition might dictate that you start on the left and just kind of work your way around. But I found that that actually is not the best way to handle it. The best way to do it is to start in the middle and then do left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and then make your way all the way to the end. So because there's a little bit of stick on here, on this stave, I'm just going to put this right here and stick it on. It's not going to be permanent. And then this one has a little bit of stick on it. I'm going to put it here. And again, this is not going to be permanent. This is just so that I have things almost lined up the way I want them to be. And then we got to find the middle stave. So this might take a little bit of your own personal touch here. This one here, this one here, this one here. So this is the middle one. And then you can see very subtly behind here, that's where the glue was. So that's going to go right on here. Okay. And again, this is not permanent. This is just to kind of map things out so you have an idea on where everything goes. When the glue is put on these staves to secure the fabric on, you can see it a little bit. So whenever you put glue on, try to make it look tidy. Okay, so that's basically how we're gonna map it out. So I'm going to keep all of these where they are because I wanna glue this one down. So I have to flip all this fabric over. So I'm just gonna very carefully do like this. And then I know right where this glue is where this stave is going to go. So here's my E6000. I'm going to put a dab on the top and a little dab near the bottom. I can feel where to stop it because it's right about here. And then one in the middle. And that's all you need for that. And then I'm going to take my hot glue. Hopefully it's ready to go. I'm going to put a little stream here and a stream here. The reason I'm using a combination of both glues is because the hot glue is not really designed to last for a long time, but I do want the hot glue helps keep everything in place while the E6000 cures. Because as you know, E6000 takes 24 hours to cure. So here we go. It's on. So I got the middle one done. Now I'm going to do this one to the left. And then I'm going to do the one to the right. And then I'm going to go left, right, left, right, like that. That's I think, how it centers it very nicely. So just like I did on the first middle one, I'm going to put a dab of E6000 on the top, right near the bottom. I can feel where the other old glue is. I'm just put it right there. And then one in the middle. Hot glue gun. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. And then I find where the glue line is on the fabric and I just line them up as best as I can. Just like that. There we go. And, you know, try to keep it neat. You know, you want this space between the top of the stave and the ripstop to be uniform as possible. That was that one. Now, I'm going to do this one next. So let me just move this out of the way. This is where, let's see, I can see the glue right there, the old glue. And then this is the stave. Dab, dab, dab. Let's go back over to the left now. Okay, so we're on the final two staves. And this could go either way. I'm just going to show you what way I think is aesthetically more beautiful. As you can see, this is the original fan, the right-handed fan, how it was sent to me. If I'm holding it with my right hand, the thumb is on a rounded part of bamboo. The underside is flat, right? This is rounded, and the fabric is on the flat side. Again, on this side, same thing. The fabric is on the flat side, not the rounded side. So on my left-handed fan, I'm going to do the same thing. So instead of gluing this on top of the rounded part, I'm going to glue it on the bottom side, like that. And that way, when my thumb is on top, it's on the rounded part and the fabric is underneath. And then same thing happens when you flip it. This is going to go on the flat side. And there's a little bit of discoloration here on this ripstop. This is the original glue. And I'm going to use a nail polish remover or a magic eraser or something to get that off. Sometimes you can just rub it off. I'm going to start with this one because the glue side is facing up. And then when I do this side, I'll flip it over because it's easier that way. While I have your attention and I'm doing these final two staves, I'm going to mention to you what I have discovered in the last 2 years of me testing out this product, the FPO fans. The left-handed fan ends up lasting, the glue on the fabric and the bamboo lasts longer on the left-handed fan than it does on the right-handed fan. I'll tell you why. Because you see right here on this left-handed fan, I'm using a good quality E6000 and a good quality hot glue. And when you get the fans, it's just this, I think it's a double-sided kind of roll-on adhesive. So it's not a high-quality glue. So what ends up happening after many months, it takes a while, but this starts to come off because it's not used to the weight of the feathers on it. So what I'm going to do when this left-handed fan is done is I'm going to reinforce my right-handed fan with extra glue just on the ends. You don't need it on the middle ones. The middle ones are fine. So anyway, just giving you advice on how to make these faux feather fans have longevity and impress all of your friends. Okay, here we go. Here's the last one. I'm going to put the fabric on the flat part. I'm finding where the glue was. I'm adding my high quality glue. You do want to try to be conservative with glue. You know, don't be too conservative. But the more glue you put on, it does contribute to the overall weight of the fans. And that's another thing that I am very aware of as a craftsman, is I've learned that burlesque performers do not want or do not enjoy dancing with heavy, cumbersome props. They prefer lightweight props. So, since the beginning of Feather Phase Out, I've always tested out these products. I've gotten feedback from professional dancers, and I've made these fans as lightweight as possible. I would never recommend a product to you that was heavy. I would never profit off of selling you a product that was heavy or not usable. Okay, so we have this left-handed fan done. The glue just needs to dry a little bit. The hot glue's keeping it in place, and as you can see, it's in my left hand. And so this is the right-handed fan. I'm going to reinforce the glue that's on the end staves, just because in my experience, I've noticed that the weight, it's not heavy, but this double-sided adhesive just starts to kind of fail after a little while. So this is what I do. I just like on the other one, I gently remove this fabric from this stave. You just got to do the ones on the ends. E6000 pretty much lasts on there forever. The hot glue helps keep it in place. That looked a little messy. And then now, this is not going to peel up. Now, I did want to mention too, you don't have to do this step. You can absolutely just wait until it starts to peel up in a few months. If it happens, it might not happen. But if it does, you can always glue it later. You don't have to do this now. But I did want to mention this to anybody who's watching this tutorial. If they want to end up making these for sale, it would be courteous for you to do that so your client doesn't have to do that in the future. So if you are interested in making yourself a little bit of money and making some faux feather fans for your burlesque community, I suggest taking this extra step. There are some people that are not crafty in the world. They don't own glue. They don't know how to use glue. They don't enjoy gluing things. So if you're selling faux feather fans, FPO fans, do this extra step. Yeah, almost done. There has been some inquiries on people wanting to know if it's okay for them to take this design and sell it. Absolutely. This has never been about profit for me. This has always been about helping get feathers out of burlesque, help making burlesque less feathery, what the animals endure so that we can wear their beautiful feathers is incredibly heartbreaking and unnecessary. There's never been a mandatory need for feathers in burlesque. Alrighty, so now we've reinforced the ends and we have our right-handed fan base, the left-handed one's over there. The next step is preparing these for the faux feathers. So I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes and I'm going to come back and take you through step 3, putting the faux feathers on. Cut. Part 3, how to put the feathers on the fan bases. Now, this particular set I'm making is going to be baby pink. So before I glue the faux feathers on, I'm actually going to paint this bamboo fabric fan. This step is not necessary. I could just put the pink feathers right on here. You saw them earlier in part 1 where I showed all the materials. And it would be a beautiful fan. But for this particular fan, I want to make it so that the staves are not golden. And then, you know, while I'm at it, I might as well make it so that the fabric is also pink. I want to make everything as pink as possible. So, as you know, when you get your nails done or when you paint anything, you have to prep the surface. This bamboo, you can see the shine on it. It's because they put a clear sealant on here. Sealant protects the bamboo. It also gives it a nice little shine. We have to knock that shine off or else the paint is not going to adhere. I'll talk a little bit about paint when we get to that stage. So this is where my 150 grit sandpaper comes in handy. You can use paper. There's also sanding sponges. And you just very lightly, it doesn't have to be anything extreme, but just I go around the little rivet here. and then I just work my way down. And I actually got a piece of bamboo underneath my fingernail. It hurt really bad. So I think just proceed with caution. You've been warned. So here we have just a comparison. I've sanded this one, and this one is not yet sanded. And I just want you to see how I knocked the shine off of this one. And then hopefully you can kind of see how this one is significantly shinier because I didn't sand that one yet. So, you know, you just want to get some of that clear coat knocked off so that the paint will stick. Now that I have both fans, the left fan and the right fan, completely sanded on both sides, I apply paint using an airbrush. I use water-based paints, and I understand that that is something that most people will not be able to do. You can absolutely use spray paint. Whatever spray paint you use, please keep it very light. The lighter, the better. If you keep it light, then light can pass through the fabric and it just looks prettier. Now we have to disassemble all of these little bundles. I very carefully slice through this paper.
Sure. If you're having trouble getting the paper off of these faux feathers, my camera person just discovered this amazing.
I don't need credit, but yeah, you can do whatever you say. Whatever.
Sometimes when you're cleaning off or disassembling the faux pampas, the paper's just kind of messy, right? And we literally just figured this out tonight, where you can get some warm water and just kind of rub it, and you see it makes it a little cleaner. And then that's not all we figured out. I'll show you another thing that we just discovered. So you see how that's much cleaner than it was before. Now check this out. You can actually take the whole thing, and I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you're having trouble getting the paper off. Sometimes you'll slice down here and then just they all come apart. That's ideal. If you have a bunch that's got extra glue, you just stick it in the water. Let it soak up for a little bit. That's probably long enough. Right? And then sometimes you can just unwind the paper right off. You don't even need to cut it. Hopefully this will just work its way off completely. Okay. We have painted the bases, which is completely optional. The paint is now dry, and we are ready to put the faux feathers on. There are 13 staves on this fan, and then 12 in-betweens. Feathers are going to go, one feather is going to go on each stave up here at the top, like so. And then once all the staves are done, then there is a second part to this first row where we put faux feathers a little lower down on the in-betweens. So I just want to explain it real quick with words. So there's going to be a faux feather on the tip of each stave. And then when I'm finished with that, I'm not done with the first row. I'm going to do the in-betweens, but a little lower. So not at the same height, but a little bit lower. And the reason for that is it gives you a little more of an organic curve to the fan instead of it just being solid, which to me ends up just looking less interesting. But that's just my opinion. You do you, whatever you think is, whatever works for your preferences. So I'm going to do E6000 first, just a dab on the tip of each stave. Here's my E6000. Here's the tip. And there you have it. Now that my hot glue gun is fired up and ready to go, I take one feather, faux feather. I put a dab of hot glue right underneath the E6000. And then when I put the faux feather on, I put it a little low so that I can give it a little shakety shake. And that way the glue really gets in there and holds it down. And then I like holding it down just for a little bit because I don't like it when this stem pokes up. The hot glue will hold the feather in place while the E6000 takes its time to cure. It's fully cured after, I believe, either 12 or 24 hours. So this hot glue makes sure that that faux pompous stays in place.
I'll cut it after you tell me.
Okay. The staves, first row of staves done, we're going to now do the first row of in-betweens. So I call these stems, this thing on the end of the faux pompous. I like to trim these off. So I just don't use your fabric scissors, you know this. You just trim those off. And then you don't have any stems. Trimmed faux pompous, faux feathers that I'm going to put on the in-betweens. This is going to require a little bit of measuring. So these faux feathers are going to go not at the tip, but a little bit lower, like that. And that's going to give us a nice little wavy pattern throughout. So I'm just going to measure how far down this is. And we're going to go with about 4 inches down. Can you see how that's a 4? And then that's where the tip is. Yep, that's good enough. And this stick is about 4 inches. So this is the stick that actually we got off of the faux pompous. So I'm going to use this little stick, repurposing as a measuring tool. Okay, E6000 is on. Now we move on to the hot glue, which holds the feather in place while the E6000 cures. I put the dab underneath. Here's my little back and forth technique to really nestle the glue into the fibers. We just finished the in-betweens on the first row, and now we're moving on to the staves. We're going back to the staves on the second row. So just like the previous step, I'm going to trim the stems. There's 13 staves, so I'm going to trim 13 feathers, faux feathers. On this second row, you can put these faux feathers way up here, and then you'll have a lot of space between the rivet and the feathers. And I think that looks beautiful. If you put these feathers far away from the rivet, where all these staves are hinged together, your collapsible fan will be able to collapse a lot. If you put your faux feathers way down here, closer to the hinge, I'll just kind of give you a visual on what that might look like, right? You're going to cover up the staves. And again, that is beautiful. It looks great. However, that will absolutely affect the ability of your fans to collapse and fold, because you're putting stuff on the staves and the staves can't stack. So You know, where you put row 2 is entirely up to you, and it might help you to decide where you put them if you want your fans to collapse a lot or if you don't care about that. So if you like the way this looks, where the staves are more covered, then your fans aren't going to collapse that much. If you need your fans to collapse, if you are a traveling performer and you need to fit these in your carry-on bag, you are going to want to go maybe somewhere around here. Give you a number. Around 8 inches. Around 8 inches from the rivet. This will give you a nice collapse. And if you want ultimate collapsing possibilities, you're going to want to go maybe 9 inches away from the rivet. So I hope that made sense. That's up to you. I like to go around 6.5, 7 inches. I think that looks pretty. It covers some of this fabric. It covers half of the stave. The staves are about 13 inches long. So if you go around 7 inches, 6.5 inches, then that's what I would recommend. Sorry, that was so wordy.
Cutting.
Okay. When you're doing the hot gluing part, this little stem that's sticking up, I'm going to put a little bit of a dab of hot glue on there, and then the dab of hot glue here. And this is where you might burn your fingers, so just be careful. So now the hot glue is here, is doing two services. It's holding down the stem, and it's also holding down this second row stave feather. And this is also a spot that you can put a rhinestone on. I'll get a nice little rhinestone and stick that there. Okay, covering the stem. And then we'll speed it up from here. Now we're on the final step of this side. Row 2, the in-betweens. Again, I'm going to trim these stems off. This row, you could use your measuring tool like I used this thing, but I'm pretty good with eyeballing, so I just put the glue on the in-betweens a little bit higher than where the existing feathers are on the staves. Because when I hot glue, I'm going to hot glue right there. And then this row will be the same distance from the rivet as the staves, the feathers on the second row staves. If you're not good with it, go. Same thing as before. I'm going to put a little hot glue on top of the previous little stubby stem. It was trimmed, so it's not as long as the first set of feathers. I'm going to do my little back and forth to nestle some glue in there on top of the previous and that one.
Side 1 is complete. We're going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. Here are my pointers. I did let this dry for a few minutes, by the way, because I don't want to flip it over when the hot glue's not dry, because then you'll end up gluing your fan to your table. Don't make that mistake. That's not fun. Okay, so here we have it flipped. I'm going to do the same process. We've got the first row of staves, the in-betweens, staggered, the second row, all in the same line. This is a great opportunity now on this second side to fill in gaps. So don't feel pressured to line your feather up exactly. when you put this first row of staves on, you can put it a little bit angled to the right or left, just to kind of fill in these gaps. So to put words on it, the first row staves by the tip, staggered a little bit. You're going to put one here, one here, one here, one here, and on all the staves. When those are done, you're going to put the in-betweens a little bit lower. Same thing. You can put it a little bit to the side. And that helps kind of fill in these little gaps here. Unless you like the gaps. If that's something you like, just leave it. Here we go. E6000. One. We are the final step on the second side of the FPO fans. And I just want to mention to you that this is the easiest step because you can see through the fabric on where the other feathers are underneath, right? If you can zoom in, right? So that's where you know where to put the last feathers. So I'm not even going to use a measuring tool. I'm just going to put some glue dabs here, and then I'm going to line up the faux feather with what I can see through on the fabric. Here we go. In-betweens.
Here we are. Here's the final product. It hasn't dried yet, so I'm not going to shake them too much. But this is kind of what they look like. When they're fully dry, I'm going to do a really vigorous shaking to make sure that all of the faux feathers are secured completely. But this is how they look. And these are your vegan-friendly faux feather fans made with faux pampas.